各位记者朋友，大家下午好，欢迎出席。
Good afternoon, welcome to our press conference. I have something at the top.
秦刚邀请。
At the invitation of State Councilor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang, Foreign Minister of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay, Francisco, will pay a visit to China from April 16 to 20th. Questions, please.
谢发言人，总台央视记者提问。我们看到中方已经发布了加蓬总统邦哥将访。
CCTV on the announced visit of Gabonese President Bongo to China. Can you share more details and China's expectation? How do you see the current bilateral relations? Gabon is an important country in Central Africa. China and Gabon enjoy a traditional friendship. Since we established diplomatic ties nearly 50 years ago, with the care of generations of leaders, we have cemented and grown relations and firmly supported each other on issues that bear on core interests and major concerns. In recent years, we have deepened political mutual trust, engaged in fruitful practical cooperation, and worked closely on international regional affairs. President Bongo will be the first African head of state to be received by President Xi since his re-election as Chinese president. President Xi will hold a welcome ceremony and banquet for him. The two heads of state will hold talks and attend a signing ceremony of cooperation documents. Premier Li Qiang and Chairman Zhao Leji will meet with him respectively. We believe this visit will provide new impetus for the comprehensive and deep-going growth of China-Gabon relations and generate new outcomes in our friendly cooperation. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. Question from Reuters. Do you have any comment on the Women's Tennis Association announcing it will resume tournaments in China this year? The WTA suspended tournaments in China in 2021 due to concerns over the safety of Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai and had called for a formal investigation by appropriate authorities into allegations of sexual assault she made on social media. Were any such investigations undertaken, and what were the findings? Thank you.
国际
外交问题，我们
That's not a question about foreign affairs. We always oppose politicizing sports. Next one, please.
发言人你好，俄通特色社记者提问。
TASS. Russian Foreign Minister, German Foreign Minister is in China for a visit. In an interview, he said China is a partner and a competitor for Germany and also a systematic challenge. Do you have any response to this? Will this impact the growth of China-Germany relations also on Taiwan? The German Foreign Minister made a clear statement on that issue following the PLA military drills in Taiwan. He said Germany will not accept an escalation of tension there. Do you have any comment?
德、中欧、台湾问题上的立场是。
Our position on these issues are consistent and clear. I would like to state here some information about the visit by German Foreign Minister. Early this morning, State Councilor Foreign Minister Qin Gang went to Tianjin and together with Foreign Minister Baerbock visited German businesses there, and then they came to Beijing together. This is the first official visit to China by the Foreign Minister. We believe through the visit, the Foreign Minister has got a better understanding of China's development and our two countries' mutually beneficial cooperation. This morning, the two jointly held the 6th round of China-Germany strategic dialogue on diplomacy and security and exchanged views on bilateral relations and international and regional hotspot issues. They agreed to advance all-round exchange, step up strategic mutual trust, avoid strategic miscalculation, uphold a correct understanding of each other, advance cooperation on the basis of mutual respect, and mutual trust and equality, and seeking common ground while resolving differences. And the two sides will respect each other's core interests, step up coordination in the world, and jointly deal with risks and challenges. China also talked about the Taiwan question. On Ukraine, China stressed the importance of peace talks and stressed our readiness to work to facilitate a peaceful settlement through negotiation. This year is a major year for exchange and cooperation between China and Germany. We'll take this visit as an opportunity to step up dialogue and communication and mutually beneficial cooperation and advance the steady development of our relations to inject stability and impetus to world peace and development. As to other information about the visit by the Foreign Minister, we will release it in due course. Please stay tuned. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。总台中国之声记者提问。那么中方刚刚是发布了乌拉圭外长布斯蒂略访华。
You just said the Foreign Minister of Uruguay will visit China. How does China view the current bilateral relations? Could you share the program and expectations for the visit? China and Uruguay enjoy long-standing and profound friendship. This year marks the 35th anniversary of our diplomatic ties. Over the past years, especially since the establishment of strategic partnership in 2016, the two countries have made good progress in bilateral relations and bring tangible benefits to the two peoples. Under the new circumstances, China stands ready to work with Uruguay to implement important common understandings between our leaders, deepen friendly exchange, and add new dimensions to our partnership. The two sides will have an in-depth exchange of views on bilateral relations and issues of mutual interest, and we believe the visit will further consolidate our traditional friendship, deepen political mutual trust, and boost practical cooperation and take the relations to a new height. Next question, please.
13日，中俄巴伊四国外长阿富汗问题第二次非正。
Could you offer more information on the foreign ministers' meeting on the Afghan issue of the foreign ministers of China, Russia, Pakistan, and Iran? State Councillor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang chaired this meeting, and it was attended by his counterparts of Russia, Iran, and Pakistan. State Councillor Qin said that this meeting mechanism as a co-coordinating force in the region on the Afghan issue has offered strong support for the steady transition in Afghanistan. Going forward, we need to reject Cold War mentality, block confrontation, stay committed to the principle of the indivisibility of security, tackle root causes of problems, take a holistic approach, and uphold mutual respect and equal consultation and friendly dialogue to guide the Afghan Taliban to adopt a moderate and prudent policy and work together with the international community to help the country grow its economy and embark on a path of modernization and make a clean break with terrorist forces. Important consensus was reached. First, respect Afghanistan's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity, and support the country in pursuing a political future and development path based on Afghan-owned and Afghan-led. Second, on security, we urge the interim government to take more visible measures to counter terrorism, dismantle and eliminate all sorts of terrorist groups, and prevent its soil from being used by any terrorist forces, and protect foreigners' security and legitimate rights and interests. We also call on the Afghan authority to form an inclusive government and protect all people's rights. We stress that the U.S. and its allies are responsible for the current difficulties in the country. They need to lift unilateral sanctions, return overseas assets, and refrain from re-establishing any military bases in and around Afghanistan. We also call on the international community to continue its help to the country and help it develop drug crop substitution programs. Also, we support all diplomatic efforts conducive to a political settlement, especially under UNSCO and the neighbors foreign ministers' country and the Moscow format. State Councillor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang also stressed that the Afghan Taliban once stressed the importance of respecting and protecting women's rights. We hope these policies will be implemented. The international community should look at this Afghan issue in a comprehensive, balanced and objective light. There needs to be a comprehensive and systemic solution. China call on the international community to continue to help the country grow its economy and improve people's livelihoods and provide humanitarian and development assistance, and through dialogue and communication guide the authorities to adopt moderate and prudent policies to better protect the rights and interests of women, children, ethnic groups, and all other Afghan people. He also talked about the U.S. policy in Afghanistan. He emphasized that the U.S. failure in Afghanistan is manifold. It was a military failure. The military subjugation did not bring a moment of peace. The second, it was a political failure. The democratic transformation failed to fit into local conditions. And it was a counter-terrorism failure. The terrorism issue has gone from bad to worse. The number of Afghan terrorist groups has increased to more than 20 today. The troop withdrawal of the U.S. does not mean it could shirk off its responsibility. The U.S. should draw a lesson from what happened in Afghanistan and change its course. The U.S. should not judge or interfere in other countries' systems, nor should it attempt to reset military forces in Afghanistan and the region, still as supporting and employing terrorism. Next one, please.
记者提问：昨天第4次阿富汗邻国外长会举行，发言人能否进一步介绍？
On the foreign ministers' meeting of Afghanistan's neighboring countries, do you have more information? The Councillor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang attended this meeting. It was chaired by the acting Foreign Minister of Uzbekistan and attended by the counterparts officials in Russia, Iran, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Pakistan. State Councillor Qin said that the situation in Afghanistan is in a crucial stage of transformation. The international community, especially neighboring countries, need to put more resources into the country. They need to show friendly, good neighborliness and friendship, and help Afghanistan overcome difficulties and challenges and realize steady development. First, we need to crack down on the terrorist forces and deepen cooperation on drug control and refugees. Second, we need to urge the U.S. to step up to its responsibility, lift sanctions and return assets. Third, we need to call on Afghan Taliban to form an inclusive government and show more inclusiveness and progress in its policies. Fourth, we need to step up practical cooperation, act on the 20 initiative, and support Afghanistan's integration into the region. State Councillor Qin Gang said that China will continue to play its part and work with other neighboring countries to deepen friendship, mutual trust, and integration of interests with neighboring countries, and jointly work for a proper settlement of the Afghan issue to promote regional security and common development. All parties believe that regional countries should step up coordination and cooperation, and all sides should communicate with the Afghan interim government and encourage it to fulfill its commitments, protect women's rights, grow the economy, improve people's livelihood, and respond to neighboring countries' major concerns, crack down on terrorism and drug trafficking. All sides oppose external forces' interference in Afghanistan and the region's security and stability, and oppose relevant countries who are responsible for the situation escaping their responsibilities and shutting engagement channels with Afghanistan. The Samarkand Declaration was released. State Councillor Qin also met with Russian Foreign Minister and the acting Foreign Minister of the Afghan interim government. China and Russia agreed to step up coordination and cooperation in SCO and BRICS, etc., to work for a multipolar world and greater democracy in international relations, seek synergy between the BRI and EUEA, and work for early harvest. Acting Foreign Minister of Afghanistan interim government thanked China for its political support for Afghanistan and said that the Afghan Taliban appreciates and welcomes China's position paper on the Afghan issue, respects China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, understands China's security concerns, and will not allow any force to use Afghan soil to harm China's interests, and will protect the safety of Chinese institutions and citizens and take part in BRI and advance cooperation.
Governor Yi Gang yesterday told a G20 meeting of central bank chiefs and finance ministers in Washington, D.C. that China will work with all parties to implement the common framework for debt disposal. Does that mean China will drop its demand, but multilateral lenders share in debt restructuring losses and will offer refinancing assurances to states currently trying to use the common framework to access new IMF loans? Thank you.
处理好债务问题，事关全球经济复苏。
Properly addressing the debt issue matters to global economic recovery and financial stability. China attaches high importance to the sovereign debt issue of developing countries. Our position is consistent. We believe that to effectively resolve the debt issue, the key lies in joint participation of multilateral, bilateral, and commercial creditors in debt treatment under the principles of joint actions and fair burden sharing. According to my knowledge, China put forward a 3-point proposal at the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable. First, multilateral creditors need to come up with solutions on their participation in debt treatment as soon as possible. Second, the IMF needs to take actions in information sharing on debt sustainability assessments as soon as possible. Third, parties concerned need to agree on the specific ways for creditors to participate on comparable terms as soon as possible. We hope parties concerned will take credible steps to implement the G20 common framework and seek an effective, systematic, and comprehensive solution to the debt issue. Next question, please.
谢谢发言人。北京日报记者提问：明天也就是4月15日。
Beijing Daily, tomorrow will be the National Security Awareness Day. This year's theme stresses the importance of a holistic approach to national security and a new paradigm of security. I wonder, how is this concept reflected in China's foreign policy? Today, China's national security faces profound and complicated changes. The CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping as a core, put forward a holistic approach to national security, offering guidance for work in this area. We have made historical progress in safeguarding our sovereignty, security, and development interests. We've maintained long-term social security, and China is ranked one of the safest countries in the world. As the international security landscape faces interwoven issues regarding traditional and non-conventional security, the world faces unprecedented challenges, and we're now again at a crossroads. The holistic approach to national security stresses the importance of common security and win-win security. President Xi has put forward the Global Security Initiative, advocating a common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security concept, rejecting Cold War mentality, unilateralism, group politics, bloc confrontation, offering China's solution to tackling the global security issue and addressing international security deficits, showing China's firm resolve and sense of responsibility. China's diplomacy in the new area will continue to practice this concept on security. We will firmly safeguard our national interests and dignity, and also take part in improving global security governance to work together with others to deal with security risks and challenges and build a safer and better world. Next one, please.
Another question from Reuters. China's maritime authority has said it will ban vessels from an area north of Taiwan on Sunday due to potential falling rocket debris, and a no-fly zone has also been put in place in that area. Can you clarify what this relates to? Thank you.
中国的海事部门近日宣布，在周日将会在台湾岛北部设立一个禁飞区，并且警告可能会有火箭残骸的坠落。你能否做出具体的解释？
近期中方的民航
Chinese civil authorities and maritime authorities released relevant notices. We have learned from the authorities that, as is Euro practice, civil authorities will issue beforehand notices on space activities that may affect certain airspace areas to remind air trafficking services, departments, and users to be mindful of the impact. That is a responsible act to ensure aviation safety. The notices have been released. It is not accurate that we've set a no-fly zone. The relevant air traffic services department should act accordingly to ensure aviation safety. Next one, please.
还有其他的问题吗？
Anything else?
Thank you. Bloomberg News. Sri Lanka and its major creditors have formally launched talks to restructure that nation's debt without China, which is Sri Lanka's biggest bilateral lender. This appears to be a sign of growing frustration with Beijing's approach to debt woes in the developing world. How does the Foreign Ministry respond to these talks going forward without Beijing?
据报道，在中方没有参与的情况下，斯里兰卡的债务谈判已经开始了，而中国是斯里兰卡最大的这个单边债权人。还有考虑到此前中方在这个债务重组上对于发展中国家债务的一些看法，那么你对这样的事实有什么评论呢？有什么回应？
这两天我们已经多次介绍了中。
Over the past couple of days, we've talked about China's position on the debt issue of Sri Lanka. You may refer to that. I would like to reiterate that China calls on multilateral and commercial creditors to take part in the restructuring of Sri Lanka's debt and to share the burden in a fair manner. We've always been in communication, and we support Chinese financial institutions in working out a solution with the Sri Lankan side. Next one, please.
Thank you, Bloomberg again. The U.S. is pressing the need for its allies to coordinate against Chinese, what it views as Chinese economic coercion, and not just military threats, as Japan prepares to host diplomats at the Group of Seven meetings that are upcoming. How does the Foreign Ministry respond to this push by the U.S.?
在日本即将主持七国集团峰会的前夕，美国向其盟友施压，要求他们共同应对来自中国的经济胁迫和军事威胁。你对此有何回应？
要论到经济胁迫。
Speaking of economic coercion and military threat, the U.S. is an old hand at this and an expert. It needs to reflect upon its own behavior of coercive diplomacy instead of wantonly criticizing other countries. Next one, please.
还有其他的问题吗？
Anything else? That's all for today. Have a nice weekend.